I'm so glad to welcome you to the Clark Howard Show, where it's about you learning ways to save more and spend less, and don't let anyone ever rip you off. On the web, clark.com. When you have a question for me, clark.com/ask. Last year, I told you about a gentleman who I was ecstatic is out there talking truth about the kind of burdens that our fellow Americans are taking on with student loan debt. He's not the normal kind of expert I might talk about on our show. I got to tell you, this is a man who brings real power to the table in getting you to think in a new way about how you handle your money. I want you to listen to this clip.
Let me tell you what I've been through when it come to Sally. She called me at least twice a day. She want her money back.
Now, who sang that about Sally Mae? D1, the rapper, formerly known as David Augustine. And David, or D1, which would you prefer that I call you here? I want to welcome you to the Clark Howard Show.
Oh, thank you so much, Clark. You can call me D1, man. That's fine with me.
Well, you have such an interesting background. You know, you were an academic superstar. You were a basketball superstar in high school. You were a big man on campus. You go to LSU. You have a very successful college life there. You become a math teacher. And then you pursued your love of music. And on that path, you learned so much about what you faced and other people faced, and you use your music to try to teach people to be smarter with their money. And I can't tell you how impressed I am with what you've done through your music.
Man, that means so much to me because oftentimes there can be a barrier between the message I'm trying to get out and people actually receiving it. And I'm thankful that I've been able to translate my message through the medium of music. Oftentimes the message can get lost in the music, but I really just want people to live a healthier life in terms of their finances. I really want people's mentality to change, and I want people to be educated when it comes to not just making money, but spending money properly, man. That means everything to me. I grew up listening to hip-hop, and all they tell us is get money, get money, get money, get money, but no one ever tells you what to do once you get the money, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, I think it's great. And with the student loans, you talk about how you took this burden of student loans and you tackled it. How did you wipe out your student loans?
Right, so for me, it was some simple lifestyle choices that I had to make. The first thing was I had to actually understand my debt. I had to understand what it meant in terms of me being in debt with my student loans. Did I have private loans? Did I have federal loans? I had to understand the difference, understand how my interest rate worked. The main thing I had to do was, upon graduating college, I had to separate my wants from my needs. As a young man making money, I was a middle school teacher. The first thing is, okay, I'm taught that I'm supposed to buy a new car after graduation because I have a real job now. That's not true, though. Like, just because you've seen others do that, that doesn't mean you have to do that. So I stuck with my 1998 Honda Accord.
Oh, stop there for a second, D1. I got to play the clip of your music about your car. It is so wonderful. I just smile at this. Let's listen.
Man, somebody messaged me on Instagram saying they don't listen to my music because I don't drive a brand new fancy car like a real rapper. Man, I'm trying to be smart with my money. And actually, I'm in love with my car. Plus, I ain't got no car notes. You hear me? Let's go. I don't care what they drive. I don't mind how they roll. I don't want what they got. So what if my car old? I love my 98 Honda. Think I'm finna let it go? Nope. Why not? Because I ain't got no car note. I ain't got no car
Okay, that is so awesome. And the music video with the people cheering along with you, driving an older car, instead of being in a position where they're like, oh yeah, I'm into this guy because look at him, he's driving the brand new Porsche or the brand new whatever.
Right.
And your
Right.
payment on your car is zero.
Zero. So that's extra money in my pocket every month that I could use towards paying off my student loans, and that really helped me a lot. Was not having a car note. That definitely was important. I got to pay more than just a minimum payment every month, so I got to exceed my own expectations. And instead of just paying the minimum amount and allowing that interest to continue to accumulate, I got to knock more out in bigger chunks, and therefore, I paid my loans off in a quicker time than expected. And I also did something that's uncomfortable for many people, which is I wasn't afraid to speak about my debt and to talk to others when I had to understand my debt better. So that's important. A lot of times we get buried in this debt and we don't want to talk about it because it's embarrassing to us or we're ashamed of it. But I worked to really understand my debt. And when I signed a record deal, the first thing I chose to do, Clark, the very first thing wasn't to buy a new car or buy a bunch of jewelry, but I still owed a chunk of money on my student loans, and I chose to use my record deal advance to pay off my student loans because it meant more for me to be debt-free than it did for me to have shiny jewelry or a new car. So
you are a very old soul, D1, because you're 20 what now? How old?
28.
28 years old, and you speak with the wisdom of somebody twice your age.
Well, thank you. I learned from people like you. I really feel like there's experts in this field for a reason. So I look at people who do a great job of speaking about financial literacy and who know more than me, quite frankly, and that's who I learn from. So, yeah, I really just embrace being a role model. So I want to inspire people. I want to inspire people to be humble when they achieve success, but also to be intelligent about how to maintain, this success that you can have. Because I see so many people who I went to school with. I went to college with a bunch of athletes who are in the NBA and the NFL, and I see how they would mismanage their finances when they get big. And next thing you know, they're asking me to borrow money, and I'm like, what? Like this is crazy. You just had $1 million contract, seriously, and that type of stuff. I said, you know what? I have to make sure that anyone who listens to and likes my music is also going to understand the importance of being financially literate. No matter what your job is. You could be a teacher. You could be a radio show host. You could be an NFL player. You could be a rapper. You could be an accountant. Whatever it is, you could be a social worker like my mom. But we all have to take on the responsibility of being financially literate.
Well, it's just such an honor to speak with you because you're reaching people every day with such a positive message and such an empowering message that generally people get into what I call my school after they've been through the school of hard knocks. You're trying to reach people at a point where they don't have to go through the hard knocks.
Correct. Yes, I just want to reach them early, correct, because you feel so empowered when you understand money and when you understand spending and budgeting and saving. You feel so empowered, and I don't want people walking around here like zombies, just working to make money but spending it as fast as they're making it. So, yeah, man, that's kind of my life's work. This is my calling, man. I'm embracing.
So, tell me about your family. Like, what things are there about your family that influenced who you are now?
Sure. So my mother and my father, they are both hard workers. My dad is a welder, lifelong welder since before I was even born. Like I said, my mom, she's a social worker, but she didn't actually graduate college until, my teenage years. So I got to see my mom balancing having a full-time job and taking night classes because she wanted to get her degree so that she could get a better job. So I saw these sacrificial things happening during my childhood. I also saw that we didn't have much growing up, but one thing I knew about my grandfather is that he was a master at saving. One story that I always remember is his car and my grandmother's car broke at the same time. Both of their cars broke on them. And I was kind of laughing. I was a little kid, but I was kind of laughing like, Papa, what are you going to do now? Like, you're going to have to catch the bus with me, like, you know, like I do every morning because y'all don't have any cars that work. And he started laughing, and he called me into his room, and he told me to open up an album that he had. It was a jazz album. And when I opened it up, it wasn't an album inside. It was actually $25,000 cash that he had. And I was like,
no way.
Yo. And I was like, what in the world is this? I had never seen anything like that in my life. And he told me about having money stashed away for a rainy day and having an emergency fund. And I will never forget that. So I have always seen the need to make sure that I'm putting money away for an emergency fund or for a rainy day from the time I was 12 years old, and my grandpa showed me $25,000 cash. Yep.
Well, D1, I just am so happy that you were able to make the time to come and visit with me today. And I don't know if you know this, we don't normally have any guests on our show. You got to be really, really, really somebody extraordinary to be on our show because it's all caller driven. You are extraordinary, and I've wanted to talk to you for a good while, and the positive energy and the positive message that you spread, and people love your music, and they enjoy your music, and then you make sure you also, once they're in your tent, you bring them the education too, and you are so to be commended for that.
Thank you so much, Clark. I honestly just feel like I'm playing my part, man, and it's exciting that you have been doing what you're doing for so long because honestly, you inspire people like me, and this means the world to me. I didn't realize that you rarely ever have guests on the show, so I'm honestly super humbled, man, and I hope I could get to meet you in person one day, man. Like that would mean the world to me.
Well, let's do it. But one thing don't ever ask me to do, don't ever ask me to sing, because I even hurt the shower if I try to sing in the shower. Have a great day, and thank you so much for being with us on the Clark Howard Show. Well, there you have it. D1, wisdom comes from all different directions, all different ages, 28 years old, and from when he said, I think he was 12, he learned the key messages about money that you should take to heart. You're listening to the Clark Howard Show.